So here we now have a panel discussion. We are going to be further delving, taking a deep dive into looking into the past, the present and the future with our expert panelists here. So I would like to introduce and invite them here. The moderator of the session, Mr. Ashish Jhalani, founder of eTailing India. I've already introduced, so I invite him to kindly take his place and to kindly grace the dais. Inviting our panelist Navneet Rai from Tolexo. He's a co-founder of Tolexo.com, India Mart's e-commerce platform for business and industry segment. He has an entrepreneurial experience spanning 11 years, and earlier he's headed Inkfruit.com, which was later taken over by Zoe.com. Navneet has a special penchant for developing strategic methods of reaching out to the end customers across multiple channels of distribution: retail, direct retail, organized, large store format retail, and internet retail. Inviting our next speaker, Vatsal Shah from Krish Technologies, Chief Consultant and Mentor, has 12 years of experience in strategy planning, e-commerce, business process automation, marketing, sales, development. He's an expert in dealing into business situations of small and medium scale enterprise and taking them on the next level. Inviting Jaspreet Bindra. He's an ex-Get It in Microsoft. He has 20 years of business leadership, sales and marketing experience. Complete business turnaround. He's been able to bring in an entrepreneurial startup experience across digital, mobile, retail and telecom business, largely in the consumer and SME space. Inviting Mr. Sanjay Sethi, CEO and co-founder of ShopClues.com. Sanjay is widely recognized as the marketplace guru and a product visionary with expertise in building complex ecosystems for e-commerce. Sanjay has enjoyed a successful career for over 20 years in internet product development, including e-commerce marketplaces, online payments, operations, and trade. And our next speaker, Atul Ahuja, Vice President Retail at Apollo Pharmacy. At Apollo Pharmacy, Atul heads the strategic initiatives in retail business, merchandising functions, development of private labels and rollout responsibilities for the new outlets. Prior to Apollo, he led the Hyderabad practice of KSA Technopark, wherein he advised both greenfield as well as established retail business. So I hand over now to Ashish for the further proceedings of the session as the moderator of the session.
Hi, good morning again. We kept the introductions a little bit short because I actually want the panel to take a minute each, introduce themselves, because I think they do a better intro than us introducing them. So Navneet onwards, please just take a minute and introduce yourself and what you're involved in, what experience you have and all that.
Thanks Ashish, thanks Shikha. I think it was a very fantastic introduction of the panel. Reintroducing, my name is Navneet and I'm currently heading Tolexo.com. This particular venture is backed by India Mart and Intel Capital and is trying to shorten the shop flight for the industrial products segment. So we are targeting roughly 1.5 crore micro, small and medium enterprises who are largely into the manufacturing space.
Thanks Navneet. I'm Vatsal from Krish Technologies. What we are into is end-to-end solution of e-commerce. We help them, we help manufacturers canvas their ideas for the e-commerce, conceptualize, putting into the right concept, design, develop, establish, market, sell and support. So end-to-end channel we help. So we are kind of enablers for the merchants, at the same time manufacturers, and we also help them selling into the different channels. So it is a two-way of selling, not just selling on the platforms, selling on their own sites as well. So we will have a discussion on it.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Jaspreet. Well, currently I'm a part of the educated unemployed, but until very recently I was the CEO of this company called Get It Info Media, which relaunched itself under the brand Ask Me. little booth you see outside. I've spent some time in Microsoft before that, heading Microsoft's online businesses and retail businesses in the country. And started in e-commerce very early as a part of the founding team of what was then called Bazi.com and is now eBay India. And there are, since I have many years behind me, there are a few other things, but I'll leave it at that. So basically, across e-commerce, retail, the online world, mobile, telecom, etc.
Thanks. Thanks, Jasprit. You are a lucky guy. So I am unfortunately still employed and educated. So I am Sanjay. We founded ShopClues in 2011. ShopClues is an online marketplace. It's a managed marketplace. Our vision is to bring, about a million small, medium businesses online and have about 1 billion products that we can sell. And I think we are well on our way. We have about 1 lakh merchants, which is 100,000 merchants on the site. Today we are the leaders in unstructured categories in the country. A little background on myself: I was with eBay for many years in the US. The Bazi acquisition and the fight with Taobao in China, all of that happened while I was with eBay. The Amazon threat coming on, becoming larger for eBay in the US, and how we effectively pushed that back. So all of that happened. Interesting times. Loving the opportunity in India. Really looking forward to all the potential that we have here. So I'm looking forward to this exciting discussion here.
Thank you, Sanjay. My name is Atul Ahuja. I represent India's largest pharmacy chain, which is Apollo Pharmacy. You may find me a little odd man out in this group actually, because the people who come here with the platforms on e-commerce, I'm still learning this so-called e-commerce, because I represent a business where we touch base with 300,000 people every day, we do 225,000 tickets every day, but e-commerce is still something that we are just trying to,
All right, thank you, everyone. And believe me, Atul, we need your perspective because it's on the other side of it. So, what we'll do is on the panel, I just quickly want to set the expectation. So we call this panel a past, present, future kind of a panel. And what we'll do is we'll go through all our speakers, kind of share how they've seen the industry evolve over the last few years, as well as where do we stand today, okay? Once we've kind of covered that, we'll get into different aspects of the issues and challenges the industry faces today, and then talk about how those hurdles or challenges will be overcome in the next few years. So we'll kind of go through one by one, and I think everybody can share how did they see this, or how did they see the story evolve, and where are we today? So I'll start with Navneet, and then we can kind of go down.
Thanks once again, Ashish. So the USP is CSP. Sorry to make it sound so simplistic, but I think after having a very elaborate introduction from Dharmendra, would really like to put a quick structure around this discussion. So the impact of e-commerce can be broadly segregated across three: convenience, the selection, and the pricing part of it. So the way the past, present, and the future on the convenience direction, in my opinion, we have seen a lot of changes, tremendous changes happening in the logistic front, for example. So we have seen the advent of and the adaptation of the same day delivery, for example. That's where the present is. And how does the future looks like? I think this continues with the more and more local seller-buyer relationship coming up. But it would be really, really great to watch the evolution of click and collect model, how it will get adapted in India. On the selection dimension, I think we have really come a long way. And as Sanjay's recently released ad correctly sums it up, from ting to tong and from ding to dong, we have everything now when it comes to the horizontal assortment of the product. The future trend which I see over here is how do we go ahead and sell the high engagement products, right? So the kind of learnings which we are seeing in portals like Urban Ladder, Fab and Furnish, selling a couple of thousand ASP product online. That should be the future. How do we sell the high engagement product? Pricing is again one of the most important dimensions. So here I would quickly touch upon the payment. So payment has seen the evolution from the COD, the cash on delivery, our own domestic, innovation around it, and then how the payments is now being done right at your doorsteps, to the evolution and the adaptation of things like wallet, which is really picking up. And just to add here, at Tolexo, the payment, by the way, is the most important things for us, because the payer and user relationship is very, very complex in B2B space. Price discovery is another biggest impact which e-commerce has done. So we might be right in a store, let's say one of the biggest retail chain, and still goes after freezing on the choice, we would like to compare the price on Snapdeal or a ShopClues and then make a final purchase call. The current trend here is how do we expose the price, right? So now the price has been discovered. For MRP driven categories. Now there is a whole lot of segment which is driven by price list. I mean, the same product can be sold at $500 to let's say $1,200 because they are not driven by MRP. Now how do we expose the price discovery for those segments is again a very, very interesting trend as we see moving forward in coming years. Over from me.
I'm very qualified to talk about the past, because when we started Bazi 15 years back, the most optimistic estimate of number of internet users was 3 million. This was all across India. Broadband was 16 kbps. Okay, and the hot thing in mobile commerce or mobile commerce was how can you sell via SMS? Okay, because there was no other place, no other way to do it. And logistics services was someone hopping on a bike and delivering stuff, because you would celebrate if you would do 10 deliveries that day. Okay, so we kind of are coming from there. And I don't want to talk too much more about it, but few of us would remember where we were. And a lot would be said about the present, where obviously many things have changed. And I think what has made the present happen, and to be honest, e-commerce is also on top of its hype cycle right now. But having said that, the thing which has really changed in many ways is that it's literally like a perfect storm has happened of all things together. In many countries that didn't happen. One thing followed the other, but pretty much like in India, where we kind of work through chaos anyway, and then by a set of circumstances, suddenly many things have become right at the same time. Okay, suddenly devices have boomed, and it's gone beyond the PC, and connectivity has suddenly happened without people really realizing that they are on the internet. They're actually on the internet every day. I mean, there are many people who say that I don't have internet on my phone, but I am on Facebook. Okay, so, but without realizing it. And so there's no concept of data on mobile. It's just happened. Okay, we all know about the smartphone story. We know about the support services, which were absent in this country, have suddenly come in around the same time. Logistics has kind of matured a little bit. Payments, while it still has some way to go, but there are certainly many more options than there used to be. Consumers have suddenly become far more receptive, not because of e-commerce, but because of many other things happening, and they've certainly become far more adventurous. There are many more young consumers than there were. People are richer than they used to be, even 15 years back. And then obviously all the players have happened. Obviously Flipkart, which we heard about, and pretty much turbocharged the revolution in many ways. Amazon decided to come in around this time only and take on Flipkart, and that increased the excitement level. So many things have happened at the same time. And that's why we are seeing what we are seeing. Moving quickly into the future, 3 or 4 things why I'm sure we'll talk more about those as we go forward. Look, my pet hypothesis or theory, sometimes controversial, is that actually digital infrastructure in this country, is improving much more and better than the physical infrastructure. So However, whatever we say about connectivity, it still keeps on getting better. The roads keep on getting worse. Okay, and so businesses on an infrastructure which is getting better, are going to get formed and thrive more on an infrastructure which is actually not. So it is the, future is for digital-led or digital-based businesses while they are businesses, and so therefore 90% of it will still exist, behind what we see as the website or the app. So that's one bit. And then obviously the whole, if I look into the future, next 4 or 5 years, mobile-led commerce, video-led commerce, vertical, niche commerce, and finally, social commerce. I think these 3 or 4 things are still not there in many ways. There's some vertical stuff, but there are no really big vertical guys. Social commerce, people have started experimenting. Video commerce is still what happens on television. And mobile, yes, we have started seeing it, but that's really what is going to be happening in the future. I'm sure we'll get more chance to talk about many of those things, so I won't waste more of your time. I'll just hand over.
Thanks, Jasprit. I think very nicely said. I think I do agree with your hypothesis, though. So I just think that, there have been several seismic shifts that have happened in the industry, and this is not only in the e-commerce. I think we've seen, we in our lives, or whatever, I don't want to age myself, but, in last, let's say, 3-4 decades, we have seen landlines moving to mobile phones. These were behavioral changes. When you are able to change behavior of the consumer in any way, then it is not a fad anymore. This is not a fashion that will come and go. These are then fundamental institutions of any business or any infrastructure. So I think the way e-commerce has evolved in India and across the world, if one thing is very clear, it is here to stay. We have to learn how to live with it and actually make the most of it. And I think everything that, people sitting here, we sitting here, we all realize that. I think nobody is denying that. So the past was past. Present is always the most exciting thing. Of course, we look forward to the future, but future is by definition uncertain. But I do believe if I have to place my bets, I would say that in China, like Jack Ma had said, he's the founder of Alibaba Group, he said e-commerce in the US is a dessert, something that you have after your main course. But in China, it is the main course. And I think, and the same thing will be true for India. In India, e-commerce is going to be the main course. And I think very nicely put by Jasprit, I think the reason it will be the main course is because the infrastructure in the digital world is improving much faster than the physical infrastructure, which basically means, modern retail, modern offline retail as it has evolved in the Western worlds will not actually evolve in India as quickly or as robustly. So e-commerce will become the mainstay of the industry, and digital economy will become more and more powerful. The fundamental shift in this would be the mobility of the handsets. And I think it's just written on the wall. I think we have to just figure out how to make the best of it. Thanks.
I think coming from the retailer perspective, and that's something which I'm pretty convinced, whether it's a past, present or future, one common theme that remains intact in all the 3 times is the customer engagement. So for a retailer like us, this e-commerce, it goes beyond e-commerce. We call it multi-channel basically. So what we try to do is the engagement with the customer on different channels. And I can quote you one very good example. We have a same customer walking into our outlet and the same customer walking into our e-commerce site, and the kind of product mix that he looks at is completely different. And that's where we say, when we look at different channels, the first central theme to us is the assortment planning. And to give you further example, a customer looking at a nutraceutical product, a supplement, a vitamin and a supplement, things like that. This is where he's looking at some kind of advice which he wants a little discreet one. He's not willing to talk about it in public. And that is the space we look at, okay, this customer, this is where the place he wants to. Similarly, for his day-to-day medicines, he's not willing to wait for it, because if you visit a doctor and take a prescription, The pattern of a prescription would be if you're running 103-degree temperature, the first thing would be if you meet a doctor at 5 o'clock, take this medicine abhi, raat ko sote waqt, morning. So probably that's not something that I would want to push it on an e-commerce. Similarly, so the central theme for us is the customer engagement across channels and to understand those levers which works well in different channels. So I think that's the central theme for us, past, present, or going forward in the future also.
Great, thanks. And Vatsal, why don't you share a little bit, like everybody's kind of shared business ideas as to what has evolved. As far as technology is concerned, how has it evolved? Where is it today? I know one of the main themes that everybody kind of got to was mobile and how that's kind of changing the whole space. So kind of share your views on that.
Sure. When I recall the past memories, in 2004, if we start, people were struggling to put their product catalog on the site. And there were static sites. Then the era came when the people were working on the CMS, that is content management system. Oh, some people found, okay, we have a CMS, why don't we add payment gateway to it? So when the customers are, we are showcasing product there, so let's give an opportunity to buy. That is where Indian e-commerce has started taking steps faster. And now if you look at, there are various levels of e-commerce are available. If you talk about somebody who is just a starter and want to try their hands on e-commerce, they can go to SaaS-based application where you just upload your products and start selling, and the platform does the rest. If you talk about middle segment, what they have is they can have their open source based e-commerce, and when they can do rest of the configuration, they can do rest of the integration of end-to-end business channels, and then they can sell things. Also, they can go on the platform. And if you look at the bigger players, they go on to the enterprise level solutions. So if you look at the level of the solutions which we have, maybe something starts from, say, 3,000 rupees per month and going up to 3 crore rupee first time investment. So these are the categories of solutions we have. And when you talk about mobile, now, since last 1.5 years, all the e-commerce solutions which I have been discussing, all are crazy behind mobile commerce. All are talking about mobile-friendly website, mobile ads and catalogs, mobile coupons, and even offers with the shaking of the mobile. And then people are buying with the touch. So all want mobile-friendly stores or mobile apps. And that is what we can see that in the previous presentation in 2014, most of the big sites have launched mobile apps. So this is where you can say convergence of e-commerce has started. And now when you look at as an entrepreneur, don't just look at e-commerce solution or software. You need to automate your back-end operations. Also need to manage your inventories, order fulfillment, and bringing customer is always there. So this is end-to-end connection has to happen. Then only your e-commerce can connect nowadays. That is where the challenge is actually.
Actually, Sanjay, you run a managed marketplace. So how does, Atul kind of mentioned when you go from brick and mortar to e-com, product assortment has to change, right? Because the customer is shopping differently. Now, going from a desktop, laptop buying to mobile, what kind of things change for a player like you? Because you got to present something different to that mobile audience. So if you can kind of share that.
Sure, no, it's a great question. And I have a strong point of view on that. So I think let's just see, what happens. So, and I'm going to take a very specific example of ShopClues. So we have brought in, let's say, 1 lakh merchants online, and these merchants are small, medium businesses. These are merchants from Sarojini Nagar, Karol Bagh, for example, from Delhi, though they are all over the country. When you bring in all of these large number of merchants online, they also bring in the inventory that they're selling offline, online. So the online sites start looking like the bazaars, a reflection of the bazaars of the Indian bazaars. The way you merchandise, the way you, and by the way, ShopClues is in the business of merchandising only, because the products belong to the merchants. It is their inventory, it is their price, it is their picture. Our job is to bring it all together so that I can merchandise it to the consumer. They can find it quickly. If I walk into a Sarojini Nagar store, I'm physically there. I cannot go to Surajkund Ka Mela. I cannot go to India Trade Fair. I cannot go to Sadar Bazaar. because they're physically different places. But in the online world, they're all there at the same time. And that's very exciting. But you need to figure out how to make it work. So what we've seen is that, we were able to create, like I personally feel that, the structured way of showing your categories on the left nav, ye home hai, ye kitchen hai, ye hai, aise nahi hota hai bazaar. When you go to a bazaar, when you walk into a store which sells apparels, you'll see shoes, you will see shirts, you will see trousers, you'll see all of them right there, right? It's there. And then you figure out, I want this, I want that. Can you show me more of those? I think that mentality, it's easier said than done, but that's how we naturally shop. That has to be brought on, and we have experimented with this. We run a Sunday flea market. Sunday flea market is like Shani Bazaar. 23 rupees to 1200 rupees products, typically impulse purchases. You don't go to Sunday flea market or a Shani Bazaar thinking, I'm going to go there today and buy an iPhone. वो नहीं होता है. You go there to say, bhai, I need some stuff, maybe I need a soap dish, whatever, and I'll pick up 5-6 things. Sunday flea market is like, it's a riot of products. You don't know what you want, but once you figured out, I need more of that, then I can, help you filter those things and say, let me show you 200 different types of soap dishes. So to answer your question, it also becomes very interesting when you move from a desktop to a mobile phone, a smartphone. Smartphone, I go to a mobile phone during my downtimes, typically. I don't like what Jaspreet is saying, I'll just get distracted and check my phone. That's my downtime. I really don't want to shop anything, but I'm just whiling away my time. If I have to open my laptop and then go to shopclues.com or whatever and then start searching, that's a more considered activity. I'm conscious of the fact that I've picked up a laptop, I've opened it, I'm looking for something. So the fact that, the mobility taps into your downtime, when you are disorganized, you are in the world of impulse purchases, typically. And the browsing experience, you can't type and find. You have to, we as players in this world where we are merchandising stuff to the consumer, we need to know what to give this guy. If a guy walks into a shop today, a shopkeeper knows, should I show him the 500 rupee shirt, or should I show him the 2000 rupee shirt? And if he does it wrong, incorrectly, the customer actually walks out. The point I'm trying to make is that, the onus on us has become much more larger to figure out the right way to merchandise. And I think the opportunities are there. There are some thought process. This is very recent, very new, so we are all experimenting. But I think if we do it right, the beauty of bringing the bazaars online to a consumer and helping them buy through this clutter, so to speak, is huge. I think whoever gets it right, and whenever they get it right, they'll reap the benefit.
Sure. Thanks. Jaspreet, your views on it? No views? Naveen? Great. So that's good that everybody kind of agrees with Sanjay on the thought. Next, I kind of want to ask the panel. So we have a lot of or at least we believe that a lot of the next set of growth will be driven from the SME sector, right? So kind of putting up to the panel now as to what role do they see the SMEs playing over the next few years for the growth story to realistically happen in India?
Sure. So, quick thoughts. One of the bigger problems what we are going to solve for our seller community is the discovery of their own assortment and the discovery of their own brand, making them comfortable by asking them to do best what they are doing, that is the design and the manufacturing part. So the entire fulfillment, payment collection, marketing, how do we ensure the footfalls, eyeballs to their own brand is something which is managed by either a free marketplace or a curated marketplace. Just to add to it, we are now seeing emergence of a very peculiar kind of relationship as well, wherein the sellers are buyers and buyers are sellers themselves, right? So currently it's a lot of a one-way communication which is happening on a marketplace platform. Here is a seller and here is a buyer. But how do we build technology product, the finance product around the relationship wherein a seller himself is a buyer, right? and a buyer wants to sell something. So in case of industrial products, we often encounter this, and a lounge room discussion with Sanjay also, reinforced this idea in consumer space as well. Over to you. You want to-
When we talk about SMEs, most of them are, very near to the product where it is made, and they know what is the, USP of their product. But when they want to go online, and why they want to go online, the only answer to is they are not able to reach to the masses, and to increase the reach to the masses, they go online. But while going online, most of the SMEs nowadays, which I have seen, is they may struggle in terms of understanding what goes in behind the, making e-commerce successful. The way Sir said that online infrastructure is available. It is growing very fast. The mobile convergence is there, and when the 4G will be launched, speed will be there in your hands. People will buying from the things with the mobile phones. But how to fulfill that? How many staff members required? What kind of departments you need? And what kind of automation is needed to fulfill your product on time so that customer get convenience? So that is the biggest hassle for the SMEs nowadays, which they need to focus. And if you look at the successful SMEs, they have been great contributors, and they have higher reach across the pan-India. What they are able to do is they are able to make goods before one season, specifically when we talked about lifestyle category. So they make before the season, and they be available and affordable to the customer. And that is the only key, so available, affordable to the customer to reach to the end customer. And that is where the SME can win. And that is the area they need to hit on.
Close to a fifth of India's GDP comes from SMEs. It's much bigger than we think. Half the jobs that get generated in India actually are SME jobs. And funnily, half of India's exports almost are SME-led exports. On the e-commerce front, however, despite very good work done by ShopClues and IndiaMart and and now the marketplace of IndiaMart, I think we have barely scratched the surface of the surface as far as SME e-commerce is concerned. And probably, it's going to be the next biggest thing, not the next big thing, bigger than many of the things that we've talked about. Just to give you an example of what, and SME e-commerce is not only B2C, a lot of it is actually bigger than B2C, is actually B2B. So within the SMEs, intra-SMEs, or within the SMEs themselves, the way IndiaMart is doing it, for example, and Trade India is doing it, etc., other places. And again, it's just very, very small. Ball bearings, makers or distributors selling to motor pump manufacturers, not what we think as e-commerce. We think of it as books and electronics from place A to place B. But that kind of stuff, that business, if you see the B2B business, and actually in the US it is claimed that B2B e-commerce is much bigger than B2C e-commerce. Even from a B2C perspective, just massive niches. Lady baking cupcakes at home who wants to sell out to her locality or to the world and putting a local element there. This ex-colleague of mine who's actually making a good living just selling jackfruit from Kerala to the rest of the world. Okay, people in Kashmir selling their artifacts, around the world through their own. So there's a whole massive ecosystem which still, and there are, I think, the marketplace is certainly a kind of, kindling that and starting that. But I think the problems which exist in that are far greater to solve in many ways than what exists in B2C e-tail or even B2C marketplaces. Vatsal talked about a few of those, but just getting them online in a productized, technology-led way. Providing all the solutions to a small SME thinking as if he's a big business. There's just enormous stuff that needs to be done, but it is going to get done. And actually what Alibaba has done and Taobao has done in many ways in China and made it, as my friend from Flipkart was saying, made e-commerce the main course rather than the dessert, is actually going to happen when SMEs get into into e-commerce in this country. And the revolution and the GDP increase or just the sheer effect on economy that will happen to this country when that happens is far, far greater than the effect that e-commerce is happening or doing today to India's economy. And from a business viewpoint, there's also one very, very fundamental thing about the SME, two fundamental things on which great businesses can be built. One, an SME thinks like a consumer but pays like a business. Consumers don't pay, mostly. Okay, thinks like a consumer, pays like a business, and that's one big insight which we have seen. And the other is that the SME market largely still is a very do-it-for-me market than a do-it-yourself market. And that in itself has the possibility of creating very large businesses, Just Dial being one of them and a few others which are already there. So big space, many things to be solved, but very, very interesting, and big companies would be built on that.
Sure. So I'll just make a quick 2-3. I think again, I think Jasprit hit it on the head again. Small medium businesses. So I will just take this analogy again. You know, when the infrastructure is better in the digital world, small medium businesses will actually get a level playing field, which they have not been able to get anywhere else in the world. Wherever infrastructure was actually ahead, physical infrastructure was ahead of the digital infrastructure. Because what happens is, when you have good roads, good power, good electricity, large spaces, organized retail, offline organized retail will actually come in much quicker. The fact of the matter is that has not happened and won't happen in India. And if that is true, then the digital world, the barrier to entry to get a reach, a national reach or global reach is very small. So small, medium businesses now can compete very, very effectively with the large organized retails. I mean, we have a bunch of sellers. I'll give you examples. You know, a guy in Jaipur sells home appliances. A guy in Chandni Chowk sells a hole-in-the-wall shop, sells only Blackberries. I'm sure he's moved on to a different model now, different brand. But he can compete very effectively with any discount that you might get from any other organized players in the country. That's it. And hence, the e-commerce will become a great enabler for small, medium businesses. A lot of work has to be done, and I think he's just absolutely right. It has not only B2C, but B2B, but also B2B2C. And I think these opportunities are there, and they're difficult, hard. We have to solve them. But I'm very, very excited about all of this coming together while we can do something about it.
I think, Ashish, one quick thought that I want to leave you with on the SME side particularly is on the product development. See, if you look at e-commerce, time to market is the game. And our experiences with the small and business enterprises is that in terms of time to market, in terms of product development, in terms of customizing a product for different markets, I think SMEs have played a very important role.
Thanks, Atul. So once, just want to kind of put a summary to what we've talked about till now, right? So we talked about the potential in the future, and I think Jasprit mentioned it as well as others, in niche categories as well. We have a panel following this, actually very specifically dealing with niche, but would like to a little bit understand more for the audience at least, how social media is going to play a role. And I know Jasprit kind of started with that. So if we can start with Jasprit, and then, because Jasprit, you happen to mention social commerce as one of the
yeah, so I mean, I cannot claim to be any kind of expert on it, but you know, you were talking about, Sanjay, about how you're trying to replicate the real world into the e-commerce world, right? And it's about, you talked about the flea markets, for example, right? And you go to a flea market to browse. You don't go really there to buy many times, but because you're there and it's all random, and so you've replicated that. The second way a lot of buying happens is because it happens because of conversations. Okay, there are a few friends who are together, sitting, having coffee, whatever, and you start having a conversation about someone's phone or something someone has seen or read about or heard, and then you have those conversations, and based on those conversations, buying decisions happen many times. With that, you know, you get someone has already bought it or you've already seen it, and you get a very good feeling about it, and you get convinced about it, and you know that it's the right thing because you've seen your friend use it someone whom you trust, etc., and you value. Uh, it also happens because you want to be the first person in the group to buy it, and then show it around to the rest of the people. In many ways, social commerce will tend to replicate the same behavior, except that it does it in an online setting rather than an offline setting. So whether it be through chat or whether it be through various social networks, people start, you start talking about some stuff that someone has bought, and that prompts you to go buy it. Or you want to be the first person to buy it and immediately Instagram it and show it to everyone out there. Okay? So businesses, commerce businesses are actually getting started based on your social conversations. Okay, many ways again in China it got pioneered by Tencent, okay, with WeChat here, and they have WeChat there, and in WeChat there, for example, you can 5 people talking about stuff and actually then kind of invoke or get the pictures of that stuff, and actually through WeChat itself, through the WeChat experience itself, without getting out of the WeChat experience, go buy it. So chat is commerce enabled, okay, in that sense, and the same thing I think will happen here. I mean, we have all heard about F-commerce or Facebook commerce, okay, and F-commerce, the F stands for Facebook, just for everyone's, knowledge here. There, I mean, you again, through the Facebook experience itself, within the Facebook experience, it's not yet evolved to what it probably can, but that is what I meant when I talked about social commerce, about how, the buying decision can emerge socially, rather than it emerging from in any other way. And the people who can replicate that offline to online is another industry.
I agree too, sir. And also I would say that social media is helping people buying online as well. So when you talk about customer psychology, what he said is correctly that it is also for taking friends or associate or the family members' approval. So augmented reality is coming as a boom, and I have seen that people are also using nowadays a model as click, share and save. So number of share I do, that is the amount of discount I will get while purchasing. Also, I will try something, I will have a click on it, on the screen or with the mobile, and I will share with my friends, and they will give me opinion whether this suits to me or not, and then I will decide to buy. So social media is actually not just helping buying people online, also it is helping customers to make choices while they go on buying.
Great, thank you. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, just a quick point to it. It's a very interesting, the influence from social media. We start with the question, do you have a bag? Let's say we are asking platforms, do you have a bag? And then the question is, yes, we have all variety of bags. Then there are too many bags, right, listed on the platform. And then which bag I want? This is the typical problem we face when we enter into a restaurant. For example, when just a dish of paneer, right, runs into 100 variants, we tend to pass it on to our friend and say, "Yaar, tu decide kar le, kya khana hai?" That's where I believe as the assortment grows to crazy level, right, we have, let's say, millions and billions of product listing, then which one in that category has to be picked up? Social media will heavily influence those purchase decisions as we move forward.
Cool, thank you. We have a few minutes to go, and I just want to ask the panel a question that I definitely want to share with everyone. We talked about digital infrastructure growing faster than physical infrastructure. Not just physical infrastructure, there are other hurdles that the industry has, right? So taxation, I don't know if FDI is a hurdle or not, but FDI another question mark. So just if you guys can share your thought as to where you see things heading as far as the physical infrastructure is concerned. Because for the growth to realistically happen, it can't just be digital, right? Because if we can't ship the product on the roads, then it's not going to get to the customer. So just kind of everybody, if you can kind of take a few minutes and just share with everybody what your thoughts are going into the future about physical infrastructure as well as the other hurdles we're talking about. We start with Atul on the end.
Okay. I think when we look at from the infrastructure side, I have my own laundry list wherein I represent a business where 70% of the business is not allowed to go online. So I can't complain on that front. That's my problem. See, I think one development that is on the GST, if that can come through, and create this as a unified market. See, at the end of the day, when I move goods from one place to another place, and as a retailer, as a private label owner of more than 400 SKUs, that's the only wish list that I have on the infrastructure side. I think rest, if you look at supply chain, another thing, I think we have learned our lessons on the way, and it goes on.
So, my quick thoughts on that would be, in India, specifically in India, things have happened actually very quickly. We are actually running into these growing pains. In the Western economy, US had about 20 years of run for catalog sales. People could actually receive catalogs in mail. They would look at catalogs and they'll call somebody, and then FedEx, UPS, USPS, they will actually ship these parcels to you, which basically meant, ability to take credit card or digital payments, ability to ship. All of that had 20 years to grow, stabilize, structure to build. India's kind of leapfrogged all of that. Till 7 years ago, all Blue Dart was shipping were your credit card statements and your Airtel or, your phone bills. And suddenly, we are pumping in millions of packages into the infrastructure. Of course, it's going to crumble and die. But the good news is, these are growing pains. We all, when we grow fast, we feel them. And so the equations are changing, the dynamics are changing, and the law, the thought process, the mindset is lagging behind, which is natural because some of these things are changing very, very quickly. So I think it's not a surprise that these are there. The good news is that money is coming in, attention is being paid to this. It will take a few years or maybe several years because India has, though we are very good at hockey, but our hockey sticks are the Canadian hockey sticks. They are flat and then they take off. So it'll take its time, but I think I'm very, very optimistic about all of this.
So, while I made this pronouncement of this digital and physical infrastructure, I do not want to belittle the huge need for physical infrastructure, which I think is a huge impediment to growth for e-commerce also. Because from a digital infrastructure, I really meant it from the customer viewpoint mostly, where, it's just become far easier, to kind of get something at home rather than, go out to a Chroma or something to buy a toaster while you can get it at home. The traffic jams, potholes, roads. But, if we only do that, there will probably come a time when it's not our cars on jamming the roads, but it's all the delivery guys of Amazon and Flipkart and ShopCluse, etc. So it's not really going to work. It's not about just substituting it. You still need a huge amount of, the same issues which confound every other industry, because at the end of it, as my friend from Flipkart was saying, and as everyone else is saying, it is an industry. Behind it is a lot of brick and mortar. So you need infrastructure improvement. You need the GST legislation and the whole framework to come in. You need, I think the other thing you need, which I think will kickstart and, which is an issue now still, is payments. There is still no very easy way to pay for 1.2 billion Indians. There are easy ways to pay for all of us. Okay, there's cash on delivery, but, beyond that, and I think that is the other big thing that, so these are the 2 or 3 things that I think as we go forward we'll need to focus on.
Yep. I would certainly say that yes, the logistics, delivery to the some of the parts of India has always been a struggle. And when we talk about the cash on delivery or the payment methods, in India, customer wants to pay less. At the same time, they want things on time. And managing that with the infrastructure is a challenge currently.
So I think over the past and even present, one key question we have seen logistics really responding to. It's a reactive, department, any which ways. And it's saying that delivered in 5 days, then delivered in 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, and now we are talking about same day delivery, right? I think as we move into the future, one of the key roles which delivery will also, the logistic or the supply chain will also start doing is help in the purchase decision. For example, there is a machine worth 35,000 or there is a sofa set, right, which worth let's say 20,000. How about a demo? How about those high engagement products, right? So the product display and engagement can happen in pockets. So one day we can cover, let's say, sector 54 in Gurgaon area, and we can have those high engagement products being displayed and catch those orders pretty much there. it has to be high worth. So engagement is one dimension. Second is, and more so in B2B, what we have seen is the current logistics, the deliverability of the pin codes is confined to the residential parts. If we have to deliver a product via FedEx or a Blue Dart to, let's say, Bulandshahr industrial area 10 kilometers away from Noida, it just crimple, right? It's just not possible. The guy is placing an order pretty much like a B2C, that behavior, but the fulfillment part is not able to cope up, right, the way it happens in B2C space. That will be interesting to see the evolution of the logistic part, hub to hub partnership and hub to local partnership, the way it's going to evolve.
Okay, great insights from our panel. And we're actually out of time, but I don't want to let the panel go without at least taking a couple of questions if people have. So we kind of limit to 2 questions, and if you can raise your hands, we can kind of ask.
Good morning, all of you. I guess I'm the youngest person here, and I just launched my business like a few weeks back, and it's a very turbulent journey for me till now, and it's going on. I just launched a website called shoppingbob.com, but I really don't know how to take this off in a manner that you guys took it. I mean, like Shop Clues was taken, 2011, and now we can see it all over the place. So how to go about it? What's the secret sauce in your recipe that made you successful? Yeah.
Dude, firstly, I'm the younger one here. You're not the youngest. Oh my God, I don't know how to answer that question. Okay, all I can say is, there are guidelines, and guidelines are not laws. That's the difference. I mean, these are best practices. There are many things that have to be in place for it to come out right. Timing, luck, and many other, non-tangible, you can't put them on spreadsheet kind of things. All I can say is, you have a conviction. There'll be always more naysayers than there'll be yes-sayers. So whatever you're trying to do, when we were trying to start Shop Clues, when I landed the airport T3, 2011, all the lane markers were branded Snapdeal. The entire airport. And you know how much TV space, there's very hard, there's so much clutter there. So all we did was we said, we know what we're doing, we know this is the right thing to do, and I don't want to hear anything else. We figured out, we looked at competition, we looked at strategy, all of that, it's done, now execute. So all I'm saying, if you have a right team, you have a right idea, and you have conviction, just go for it. Dude, things will happen. One thing is for sure, entrepreneur will never fail, enterprises might. So you will always be successful.
Greatly said. So one more question. Sorry, I don't know who raised.
Hi, my name is Riddhi, and I've been into the e-commerce industry for the past 3 years. If we are having competition of being the youngest, I would like to join the league here as well. I have a fashion brand, and I'm selling in all the running marketplaces. I've just joined Shop Clues, so I'm a new vendor there. Having talked about SMEs, growing and being a very big part of this industry very soon, I would like to raise a question that where is that excessive solution of having, of course, the Amazon owner has always said the customer is God when it comes to e-commerce. But I feel the second God here should be the vendor, because you have the marketplace, you are giving the vendors an opportunity. What next? Why? Because I've been selling in all the marketplaces, and some marketplaces does wonders for me. And that means that I have potential. That means that my products are selling very good. I have customers' feedback. I have customer service. So yes, the products are selling fine. but one marketplace does wonders and the other stands still. So what exactly initiate, where exactly when you talk about partnership between the vendor and the market, I'm not saying just the marketplace needs to give that, the vendor also needs to, come ahead and talk about that amalgamation and that partnership. So what exactly is that solution? Because that is very important. You can't really give investment to all the marketplaces and let vendors stand still. The vendor needs to increase, otherwise the marketplace will collapse. No vendors, no marketplace. That's what I try to mean.
So I mean, I really want to take that one, and then of course others can pitch in. I hear you, and I'll just tell you two things. First is yes, customer is the king. We have heard all of that, blue blah and all of that, right? It is almost like saying what, the tree is only good when the fruits are good. What the? How does the tree come? I mean, fruit comes because you have a good seed, you have good soil, you put water, you nurse it, then it grows, and then suddenly you have fruit, and the customer is enjoying that fruit. But it starts from you guys. It starts from you. I think it is very fancy and fashionable to talk about customer king, all of that. But the fact of the matter is, it starts with the manufacturer, the producer, the vendor, the merchant. We always use the term merchant. That being said, every market has an essence. A Sarojini Nagar market is different from Ambience Mall. And it is important for you to make that match. It is not that this marketplace cannot serve you. The essence, the kind of customers it attracts, the kind of products that are sold at a greater velocity in that marketplace would be different from the next guy. A Flipkart would be different from ShopClues, clearly. The kind of customers that flock to Flipkart looking for a certain value would be different from the customers who are coming to ShopClues. You might be the same person selling at both places, but different products will move at different velocities because of the matchmaking that has happened. So of course, I mean, as far as we are concerned, all I can say is, our job is to bring SMEs online so that they can have a level playing field and compete. You have to have 4 C's: character, capacity, city also in our case, because logistics is a problem, city, and when I say character, it is the fire inside you to do something, and of course the category that you're operating in. If you're in some very niche category, it's hard. All you sell are basketball shoes for 7-year-olds. I don't know how big that category is. But I think to answer your question, all I'm saying is, we are there to help. We will learn in the process. We do believe very, very fundamentally that fruits are a result of the starting process, which is the SMEs. So please, independent of everything that we say, about customer, I have never ever lost my sight on the merchant. Never.
Great. We're going to have to end the panel. I'm sorry. We're going to take a break right after this. So once everybody's off the stage, please feel free to catch them and see if you can get your other questions answered. So we're going to take before
that, we express thanks to all our panelists. May I request